What's up, boys? Welcome back to another video. Today I got a nice spicy TvZ build for you guys. Stole this build from Cure recently. I saw him do it a bunch of times. I'm not sure if he made the build, but since I love Cure, I'm gonna pretend he made it. It's a pretty sick build. It's like a 3cc version, as almost every TvZ build these days. Got a nice game against Sarowin, which obviously helps with the highlighting, right? Sometimes you just, you know, guys, I'm a small YouTube channel. Sometimes I just have to highlight some famous people. You know what I mean? I definitely did lose a few games here and there, but overall this build always felt super strong. I actually don't remember a game where I didn't feel like I was ahead. So then, yeah, the build is not to blame for that. It's just my my lack of abilities more than anything else. So yeah, this build's gonna be super standard. Like you guys know the deal of the standard stuff. You SCV scout, you get the Reaper scout in. Still gonna walk you guys through it as always. Barracks first, then the gas. I honestly don't remember the last time I gave you guys a gas first build against Zerg. I don't really play gas first myself. It must have been ages, honestly. Did I ever do that? I'm sure you guys know my YouTube videos better than I do. Once again, I'm gonna tell you guys to do the 19 SCV scout with the barracks SCV, because every time I do coaching, you guys are like scouting at like 15 or 16 or something like that, and it's way too early, so please use the barracks SCV to scout. Gonna remind you guys of that every time. Then you rally the next one down, make the command center. All very standard so far, of course. Now we trust our boy Sarah, so he's not gonna do anything too crazy. Now, I do have to say that, because I get a lot of comments on my videos with 3cc and stuff asking, like, what if they do this or this early on? Well, obviously, you can do, up until this, you can do this perfectly fine against everything, no matter if it's like a one-base roach all-in or whatever, right? But if you, at this point, scout that this means it's a hatch first, by the way, just so you guys know. If the hatchery is done or almost done when the SCV arrives, that means it's a hatch first. If this is a pull first, or there's no hatchery at all, then obviously you're gonna have to adapt the build and you can't follow the build order that strictly anymore. But yeah, if it's a hatch first, you can always do it. And up until this point, you can do the build no matter what. So you can copy this anyway. There's no problem in that. This is not vulnerable against literally anything. So now obviously we scouted the hatch first, so we're just gonna go ahead as normal. Important thing to note with 3cc is that after getting the factory, you do not get the second gas. You only get the second gas after the starport if you play a 3cc version. That's, at this point, if you're like watching a game, you can already differentiate if the player is doing a 2-base opener or a 3cc opener just based off this gas. If they take this gas pretty much right away after the factory, you know they're gonna make a starport, get hellions going, and then any unit from the starport, and then a third command center. But if you see that they're not making a gas, you can already tell that they're going for 3cc. Unless they do a really weird build with like a second barracks or something, but that doesn't... I really don't think that exists. Factory into second barracks before a third command center, so... yeah, that's also a small tip. If you're like looking through pro replays, or like a VOD, I mean, watching a stream, and you're looking for a 3cc build, yeah, this is an early sign. As you can see in the production tab over here, there's no second gas. That the Terran is doing a 3cc build, and you might be able to copy it a little bit easier. Now then, you can see here, 3cc goes down before the orbital, before the starport, before the second gas. Then you get the orbital here, of course. Make sure to get this right, guys, because if you mess it up, it could go a bit weird. So you get the orbital, then you get the starport. Note, I'm not making any hellions yet. Then you get the gas on the natural. Actually, I want to say something about this. Is when I showed this on stream the other day, people seemed to think that this was a mind game gas. But this is actually the normal gas to take if you play 3cc. And the reason for that is because you're not taking this gas early. You're going to have too many SCVs on minerals here. You're going to end up having 18 if you do it perfectly. So what usually happens is that you just transfer 2 SCVs to the natural here, so you have optimal mining when it comes to the minerals. So since you already have extra SCVs here and none here, it's more efficient to just take the gas here. So this is not a mind game gas location. This is just actually where you take your second gas if you play a 3cc properly. And if a Zerg scouts this gas on pro level, they will already assume that you're playing 3cc. That's how strong of a sign it is. So then after you get the second gas, that's when you start your hellions. And that's also the reason why you usually have to keep your hellions at home. They're a little bit delayed. You see, normally hellions finish a while before Zergling speed. Here they're going to finish roughly at the same time. So if you move out with those hellions, let's say his Zerglings were here, or he could even have 2 or 4 more. If he has speed and you move out, he can very easily run into the natural and kill your workers. So with a 3cc, you do have to keep your hellions at home for a bit. I mean, you can move them out, but it's greedy and you might lose 2 of your Zerglings. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Though there is one scenario where you do have to move out the hellions, and that is if you lose the Reaper too fast. Because scouting is the most important thing in the game, probably. So if you do lose this Reaper, you can send 1 or 2 hellions out. Now, one thing I didn't note, by the way, is you have to make the tech lab on the barracks so you can put your starport on it. As always, guys, please check out the replay in the description if you want to check out the build much more slowly, because in my videos I usually try to touch on the advanced stuff a little bit, so I do miss a few things in the build order here and there sometimes, so make sure to check that out. But yeah, you make the tech lab on your barracks and then you put your starport on it, and we're gonna go for 2 banshees. And we're almost at the point where we're gonna divert from a standard build into the build I want to show you guys today. For now, we're just gonna do it like this. Make sure to start a Banshee first and then Cloak after. Because with this build, the idea is actually to hit with 2 Banshees. So it's more important to have the Banshee first and Cloak first in case like he was attacking you, or, you know, it's just better to have units ready logically more than anything else. Now so far this obviously looks like a completely standard build and you're like, but YouTuber, Mr. YouTuber, this is just, I see this every day in my dreams, on my ladder games, in every game I ever watch. That's true. So this is exactly the point where you divert from a standard build. Because this build, so far, this is also a really good standard build. Going for 2 Banshees, 6 Hellions, after the 3cc, and then going into 3 barracks and stuff. That's actually a very good standard build as well. And that's one of the cool things about this build. So where it's about to divert is, with this version, you don't stop making Hellions. So normally you stop at 6. Right now you're gonna make like basically infinite amount of Hellions. And besides that, the build looks pretty much the same. So yeah, if you don't mind about the surprise and if you have a lot of APM, you can move your Banshee out. But with this build, since I like to hit as a bit of a surprise, I actually save up for 2. So yeah, we're gonna keep making Hellions. Another big advantage of this build order where you keep making Hellions is that you can move them out a bit more freely. Normally, if you have 6 in total, if you move out with 4 Hellions like this, you're only gonna have 2 at home, and it becomes a bit risky to like a big Ling run by. But since with this version you're making a lot of Hellions, you can move them out a lot more freely. Though I do advise that you hide them a little bit, because you can see the point in the production tab now. The point of this build is that you hit with a lot of Hellbats. So ideally you do not want your opponent to know that you're making more than 6 Hellions. So here I'm already showing 7. I guess showing up to 8 is probably fine. Ideally maybe you only show up to 6, because you don't want them to be suspicious at all. And you can tell this build looks pretty weird from like both Zerg and Terran's perspective, because if a Zerg would scout my natural or my third base, it's already going to be there in just a few seconds. I'm getting stim, you know, this looks completely normal, but yet it's a lot different because of the big timing attack. So, and the reason I say you basically make unlimited Hellions is because you're supposed to even keep making them after the Hellbat attack. So you can actually keep making them for a long time. And ignoring the fact that you're making mass Hellion and an armory, you actually continue completely normal. You're going to get your extra barracks up. You're going to make double eBay. Like, this is actually a super standard bio game. So I can understand why this could be a little bit confusing. I do have to say, I think this style... Sorry, I'll try to stop pausing that much. This style is really easy to play. But the build order is actually pretty complicated. Like, the hard part of this for you guys is not gonna be the style I'm playing. It's the build order. Because you can see, I already have 11 Hellions, 2 Banshees, I have an armory, double eBay. Like, if you get this build order down, I'm sure you're gonna win a lot with it. Because the style is pretty easy. So this is what the attack looks like, pretty much. You have 2 banshees. The 2 banshees draw the queens. And then you hit with all your hellions. I'm pretty sure you could have more than this. I think I made a slight mistake in hellion production this game. Like maybe I skipped one or something. So the banshees draw the queens out. And then you hit with more hellbats than banelings can handle. Like to kill this many hellbats, you would actually need like 20 banelings or something like that. And obviously zerglings don't do anything. So it becomes a really hard dance for the zerg between following the banshees and defending the hellbats. Because this, even though I'm not killing a lot, like Serral's defense was pretty good here considering. Like this is really annoying for the zerg obviously, having to run the drones around. Banshees now in the main. Yeah, one small tip I can give to maybe save yourself some APM, because it is pretty difficult to control the Banshee and Hellbats at the same time, is that the main is usually the most exposed base. So if you don't want to look at your Banshees that much, it's probably the best to send them straight into the main, and then like park them here above the gas so they shoot all of these drones. Kind of like I'm doing right here. These are hold positioned outside of spore range, so all the drones that are here, they just die, and I don't have to look at them. And if you don't want to like micro them from the start, you can do that from the start. You can park them here or here. Main usually only has 1 queen, so it's not like your Banshees will die any fast. And at the same time at home, you can see, just like I said, it's a completely normal bio follow-up. You got your double E-base, you got your barracks. Note that with this build, you actually have to make your reactors on the barracks. Normally, you use the reactors of your factory and your starport. But with this build, since you're still making hellions, you want to just make reactors on the barracks itself. And I'm still making hellions, of course. Because hellbats are also... Hellbats get weak when there are too many banelings out. But up until like some point in the early game, as you can see here, no banelings yet. Even if he morphs like 10, a few hellbats to tank are pretty good. You can't really play mass hellbat macro game, because then you will just get destroyed by banelings, right? So at some point you're going to switch into mines. For me that's going to be now. I made like 6 more hellions, I believe. I don't know how many I kept alive. 4 more hellions looks like, 5 more hellions. And then I'm going to switch into mines. And then obviously you very perfectly have this tech lab here for the second factory. So you can get your drilling claws going, your Thors going and stuff like that. And from this point on, it becomes a very standard bio game as well. Like not just build-wise. I feel like I've said that a lot this video. But you're just going to attack. You can see the Hellbat attack limited the creep a lot. Like, this is definitely not a lot of creep, especially not for a top Zerg. And then, if you saved any Hellbats, and with the ones you have left over, you can do an attack. And the annoying thing about the Hellbats is just the fact that you need Banelings to kill them. Because if it's just like Bio Mine, or just Bio, most of the time you can actually clear it up with like Ling Muda. But Hellbats just are so strong against pure Zergling that you need to make a lot of Banelings, as you can see. Making 17 Banelings here. Always make sure to clear the creep, by the way, guys. Pre-splitting Hellbats, very important. As you can see, I'm kind of splitting live action, but I know that can be hard sometimes, so make sure to pre-split them a little bit. Because if Hellbats are together, they die really fast. But if they're alone, like a Hellbat is only 100 mineral, guys, and it takes like... How many banelings does a Hellbat take? 3? Should be 3. 3 banelings. That's super worth it. So if you can ever split a Hellbat and send it forward, it's either going to kill Zerglings or take 3 baneling hits. Which is really valuable, because like I said, a Hellbat is just 100 minerals, guys. 4TC going down. And this game, it looked like the strength of my build definitely was denying the creep, because I can push up here so freely. And it's very close for my base as well, especially once I get this base up and running. That I didn't... Like, this game, his drone micro was really good. Normally, I kill so many drones with my attack. This game, I delayed a lot of mining time. My Banshees, honestly, did most of the work this game. It's hard to say how many kills they had, but they denied a lot of mining here. Still alive, too. I don't expect this from you guys, by the way. Like, keeping Banshees alive, that's kind of like a rarity. I'm not gonna pretend I always keep the Banshees alive, because I definitely don't. But even if you have to sacrifice your Banshees to make your Hellbat push worth it, that's also just fine, you know. They're just Banshees in the end. If you're really good with them, you can get a lot of value, but most of the time, they're like safety units. And in this case, they're mostly a distraction. if you somehow manage to use both the banshees and the hellbats effectively, I'll be very impressed, because that's a hard thing to do. Always make sure to get like at least one widow mine here for a run by, because sometimes you don't look and you can just lose everything to like a very simple ling or bailing run by. Obviously, one widow mine is not going to stop it, but it's going to alert you a bit faster. Maybe it'll kill 10 bailings, who knows. And right here, just a small macro tip is, this base is really well set up once it gets to a PF, but you do want to stay a little bit. Like here, I'm giving him a little bit of a timing window, but not too much. Just to check if there's like anything coming. You don't want like the SCVs transferring to be killed. And then from this point on, I'm pretty much just going to be doing this. Attacking, attacking, attacking. And this is what an attack looks like, by the way. You have like everything pre-split. Splitting your mines is actually very important, by the way, guys. Splitting your mines is probably even more important than splitting the marines. Because if you have 3 mines, 4 mines clumped, they actually, all of them die to 3 banelings. And mines are like the only thing stopping him from just right-clicking through your army and killing it, right? So splitting those mines, having some mines in the back is very important. Always get a bit of a pre-split going. Now in TvZ, I would definitely recommend you guys to attack in waves. Like, try to not put your rally point like here. Like, your push will be very strong, but you can very easily be ended by like a very simple counterattack. But if you just rally at home, you're a lot safer. As you can see here, if I didn't have, let's say I had this at the front, I would have lost everything here, and maybe here too, to this simple run by. And I would have killed all the Zerglings for it eventually, but I would have lost 30-40 SCVs, and you just die. So make sure to like rally here. Always have like a little spot in your wall open. So if you rally on it, can I see my rally? Oh, right now I'm actually rallying to the front. That's on accident. I'm sorry, guys. This kind of feels like my Reaper dying all the time, you know? Like, guys, keep your Reaper safe. Don't be like me. And then the Reaper dies. So like, oh. No, but you always rally here. I think here I defended his push, and that's why I did it. You could see I was rallying here before. So what you do is you rally on the depot, and what happens is that your units kind of... I can go back a bit and see. Your units kind of clump up on the depot, so if there's like a big run-by, the Zerglings don't get through. The Zerglings can't surround your army, right? I think that should make a lot of sense. A little bit of an unfortunate timing for me to check the rally point, but it is what it is, guys. Oh, we got some mutas. That's why. That makes it all better, guys. I redeemed myself killing some mutas. Okay. So this is also pretty interesting. I'm making some liberators, and normally you would be like, why would you make liberators to kill Zerglings or whatever? Well, the main reason is because I tend to make way too many medevacs, and I'm sure some of you guys have that problem too, because it's very automatic, you know? You're like doing your production, you're starting your marines and your marauders. Right now I'm maxed, but you're starting all your marines, marauders, some widow mines, some medevacs. And then sometimes you'll end up with 12 medevacs, which is, it's pretty cool, but most of the time not super useful. Because banelings are still banelings, right? They explode and kill your stuff in one go. So I decided to start making some liberators instead. Sometimes they can help with the mutas. And even you can siege them, they can help with queens or ultras later, stuff like that. And yeah, I think once you get the Thors out, the trades start to go really well for Terran usually. But you still need to have your widow mines and stuff in position always. Oof. Wait, I didn't even see that in the live game, I think. Make sure to babysit those Thors, by the way, because Thors are actually, you know, they look like they're tanks, but they do die pretty fast, honestly, so... make sure to always babysit those with a medevac. They're way too slow to escape from anything. And why do I have 2 Thors stuck in the vein? You see, guys, this is... I feel like I haven't said this in a while, but this is like the core of the YouTube channel, you know? I make so many mistakes, but I still win. So I'm relatable to you guys. Why... how did those Thors even get here? Ah, this thing doesn't have a rally point. Okay, well... Beating Sarah while making 100 mistakes. Sub to my YouTube, guys. Okay, so I really like these fights because you can see I feel like I'm setting them up really well. You know, everything is pre-split. I feel like in this fight, if I wasn't split very well, I would have gotten destroyed. Here, the fight was really efficient for me. You might think the supply is good for him, but the Zerg supply is a little bit deceiving. If you guys analyze your replays and stuff, you can pay attention to this too. Is that the Baling is a very valuable unit, way more than a Marine or a Zergling, obviously. But a Baling only takes half a supply, just like a Zergling. So if the supply is high, you still need to look at the Baling count. Like before this fight, his Baling count was probably like 40 or 50 or something. And now his supply is 50 Zerglings, which is a lot worse supply. Like I would say a Baling is probably worth like 5 or 6 Zerglings, right? But yet 10 Balings and 10 Zerglings are the same supply. So supply for Zerg is always a little bit misleading. You always have to check that Baling count. Or like lurker count or whatever unit they're going for, right? Because that's what's really important. Like here he's 20 supply up, but my army feels very threatening to him. Got the Thor, got some Widow Mines. Now you can see this is already a really good trade. That's why I feel like you guys could be surprised. It's like, why are you rallying into him when you have such, you know, little supply compared to him? And it's just because of that. Like, Zerg needs time to make more Balings. That's the strength of Zerg. That's also a sign of good Zergs. Is when good Zergs go in. Unless it's like this is a little bit of a desperation push by Serral here. But you should pay attention to it. When Zergs go in for a fight, like let's say it's like 3 minutes ago. And we're, instead of going for a big fight, we're just skirmishing around here. They will go in and morph 10 Balings in the back. Because as soon as there's no Balings, Terran armies can just stem forward and kill. So Zerg always has to like make Balings in the back. Now here it felt like he was desperate. And I was a little bit scared. But you can see his army is 1 Baling, 50 Zerglings. I'm going back for the run by that's what's going on. But if I know his army is 1 Baling, 50 Zerglings, like if you clean up a fight and you see no Balings, you can just stim forward here and go for it. Because the Zerg army without Balings are not very meaningful. So you definitely have to pay attention to that. Obviously at the same time I'm up to 8 barracks, by the way. This is the production you want to end up on. You have 2 factories, 8 barracks, and then... I feel like you can either choose between getting 2 tech labs and 1 reactor or 3 tech labs. I usually like to get 3 tech labs because I feel like if they go ultras, I want to have a lot of marauders out. And also, marauders are really good in combination with mines. If I'm playing siege tanks, I make mostly marines actually, or pretty much only marines. Unless it's ultras and I need to do like a desperate switch. But in combination with mines, I feel like marauders are really good. Because marauders can tank and just stay on the front while mines get like a big hit off. And yeah, like I said, the game plan here is really simple, right, guys? I did my build, I got into a good spot, and from that moment on, I've just been rallying through the middle. Glad I could explain you guys some more TvZ basics in the meantime, because, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot to it that people don't really get sometimes. It became kind of like a mixed guide in that way, you know? It's like a sick build plus TvZ basics. Love it. Now, obviously, you can see he's about to die. In general, another tip is, like a basic rule is to not let run-bys go uncontested. So, if you're not sure what to do, and there's like a run-by or a muda flyby, then you should defend it. Because defending and attacking at the same time, that's pretty bad for Terran. Because you have to focus on microing this, and then at the same time, you have to pay attention to Balings on creep. And yeah, basically, if both armies are not paying attention, the Zerg army wins. Because Terra needs a split, micro, target fire, and Zerg usually pretty much aimos, especially with stuff like Zerglings and Mutas. So you definitely do not usually want to be attacking while defending. So usually just go back, you take care of the run-by, and then you go again. But in this case, since I was basically killing him already, and I didn't want to like... Because you can see he has 87 drones, he has obviously this base mining, obviously this base mining. I didn't want to give him time to get back into the game. So I just wanted to go for the finishing move. But if you're not sure and you have to choose, definitely go for defending first. Because that's just a more solid choice to make. Now, I do feel like this was a bit of a confusing guide maybe, because it was like, yeah, like I said, it was a builder, but also like a TvZ basics guide. But I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. I think the builder is very strong. Obviously, I'll put the replay in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.